So, I guess I was supposed to present the cat flap-o-matic at whatever. I feel like it makes more sense to present the picture that shows that there's no peephole, and then use this to explain, but I guess they want me to fucking make a leap in logic. Fine. I'll skip half the reasoning. Game.
Objection.
I think my way made more sense, but you do you, game.
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Council?
Ooh, it's my cat flap-o-matic. I keep saying flap-o-matic. It's flap-o-mat. It's my cat flap-o-mat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. Oh. Ah. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to the case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door.
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand.
Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all.
I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say?
2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place.
That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes.
Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant... Oh, I see what it is. So they're gonna do this, and they're gonna be like, prove it, and then that's when we're gonna show the pictures where it's like 1... No flap, 1 flap. God. How did I miss that? Like, they made such a big deal about, like, these 2 photos with, like, the stuff being moved. But, yeah, it's been there the whole time, staring us in the face. I mean, I guess... I feel like some people probably noticed that right away. I'm just slow, but... There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This entire time, I will say, again, I didn't say anything, but I did think it was weird that there was a peephole in the door in the first place. Like, why would a pawnbrokery have, like, all the really valuable stuff in the back room, but then just like a peephole with no, like, lock or anything on it? Like, it just seems odd, and now it makes sense why. In order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? That's the thing. You didn't. You didn't witness it. You committed it. Yes, how could you? What?
Counsel, kindly say what you mean.
Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time that, as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene,
whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. That's why she felt like a failure of a judicial assistant. Oh.
That is a most serious act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Got him.
riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel.
The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
Order, order, order! Is there any credence in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly! This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is! Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd! I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Waggy, Kiwi, time for dinner! Oh my god. She made a hole in the fucking courtroom door! Meow! Oh my god. Well?
Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey.
That's so awesome. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way that you can prove it was. No, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flaps my cat flap-o-matic creates are all of a fixed size. And the dimensions of the peephole at Windibanks are in an exact match.
Ugh.
Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it is my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer.
What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Vanzeeks?
It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? This is one of those things where it's like, I already have it's the pictures. I have the pictures. The evidence is it's the pictures.
Indeed that is so, Lord Vanzeeks. Well, counsel?
Don't give up now, Bruno. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world.
Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Windibank's storeroom was created after the event, and not before.
That would be this photograph.
Look at this photograph!
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again. My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof.
And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel.
This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises.
Agreed.
Oh, agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description.
Ah! Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Ah! Oh my god. Spitting. Let's go. I like how the other 3 witnesses at the stand just like stepped aside to let him spin.
Order, order, order! I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious.
That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. But more importantly...
Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Zeeks.
The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. What the fuck do you mean? Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, crap, oh, please. No! Oh, God, stop. I don't believe this. But they're right, as it stands now. What do you mean they're right? All the stuff we demonstrated before, he was like, I actually saw everything. There's no... What do you mean? What do you mean they're right? They're not right! I don't have any definitive proof he's the culprit except everything we said before. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat is bolted. What? Isn't that right, Runel? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Oh my god, that's adorable. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. He knew about the blood on the coat! Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known about, namely, the blood stains on the coat. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right. The victim's blood splattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it through the peephole in the... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously,
Has the cat got your tongue, witness? Oh, yo, judge getting sassy.
The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. Once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the 2 burglars. Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibanks constantly, carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts, so we get through it all.
And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door.
How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks?
Speak, Inspector.
It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in the report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you...
Permission denied.
Oh.
It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Of course, sir.
Was he in on it? Mr. Graydon. I know he's been acting shifty, but like... I don't want him to be in on it. You shouldn't have known about the existence of the peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? Gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony. Oh, no. I don't want it to be him. I'd be sad if it's him. Be sad.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson.
Me? Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today.
Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned?
Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that while this trial was in progress that he received the information? They were whispering. So that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin? Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a bloomin' outrage! Why would I be giving away details of our investigation to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery.
Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after the proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of in the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. They were literally whispering to each other during Gina's testimony. Ugh. Oh, I just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Oh, yes, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seem to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag! You're making all this up! I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, Counsel?
I wonder if perhaps... Oh, God. In exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. The other disc.
I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal with any kind of with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance.
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is this Nipponese student's specialty. I've been right every time, bitch! Like, fuck off! I'm batting 1,000 with accusations. Eat a dick. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present the evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Yes, evidence. Just what are you proposing the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. Get it? Because Morse code? I see what they do. Must press you for now.
I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness?
So, it's not like... It's either the disc or the box. I would go with the box.
Take that!
Yay. I hate... it's hard to say, because it's like, I know what it is, but I don't know how to communicate to the game I know what it is. And I got it. Yay. Inspector Gregg said, besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice. Oh my god, it's been almost 4 hours. I didn't realize that this is going to be the end of the game. Get ready for 5-hour stream, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be fucking, because if this is actually like the last chunk, we're gonna see fucking credits too. So, god damn.
How the bleeding aura could you?
We discovered, during the course of this trial, the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession, although this is like a collection of 2 games though, right? So maybe it won't do credits, maybe the credits are at the end of both of them. I don't fucking know. Are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for the details of the case. That's how you know we're winning.
You little... Ah! Me fish and chips! Order!
The day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this.
I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
No, don't give it to him! It's mine, it's mine!
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets.
My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and to do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush.
And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information.
Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of that myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all.
Inspector,
surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony?
There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known about the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men.
No! Ah! Me fish and chips!
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What?
What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious! Then you mean to say...
Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession.
He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes!
Yes. The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand once. Since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Well, Inspector?
Yeah, I feel like that won't be necessary.
This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me in my profession quite enough.
Oh, never mind. I thought he was going to be, like, responsible and be like, well, alright, you got me, here it is. No, he's...
However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit to body search.
Okay. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. The trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious.
Indeed. To have a visiting student make such defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runo because you're scared? The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here.